Woo! Oh my gosh, my dog's barking.
Good timing.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to a Rizin MMA veteran. She is the one and only Chelsea LaGrasse. Chelsea, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? How's your day going?
Going good, going good. All except for the fact that I guess the newest member of the Woods clan, Pugsley Fugging Woods, is he decided to make an appearance. He was like running in. He was like, "Oh, Papa, you're gonna do something cool right now?
Yeah,
Here's this."
I think we're starting the show. He wanted to be in the spotlight. He wanted to be part of the show.
I think so. I think after a week or two of having him, he kind of figured out like anytime I go to this corner and hit the lights, like this is time. So he's like, okay, I want to jump in too. Yeah. So my
Oh, that's
goodness,
super cute.
I mean, there's so much to cover, but I mean, obviously, as a female mixed martial artist, like and yoga practitioner, how did you first become aware of combat sports?
Um, honestly, I knew nothing about MMA or martial arts or anything about that until I think I was 23. And I just wanted to learn self defense because I had previously gotten out of an abusive marriage. And so I just really wanted to learn how to protect myself. And kickboxing always kind of sounded like a fun thing to try as far as working out goes. So I found a gym that was close to me in the area, and it was a jujitsu and kickboxing, martial arts, MMA gym. So I just started taking classes and I really enjoyed it and loved it. And everyone there was fighting and competing. And I just wanted to be a part of that too. So I tried it out and I just fell in love with the sport even more and just have continued on with it ever since then. So yeah, it kind of found me, I guess.
No, that's awesome. I love the. I mean, it's not a cool thing of the what you had to go through to get there, but I mean, if you believe in like silver linings, what you ended up getting out of it in terms of this new kind of lease on life in many ways, personally and professionally, and then finding much like most in combat sports, once you enter a gym, it becomes your family. The coaches become like your gym parents, and your teammates become your brother and sisters and fight, and it's just cool. And no matter if you're just doing you want to fight, or you just want to do like MMA jiu-jitsu competitions or what have you, or just just to stay fit. There's a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, uh, Jesse Velasquez says he wants to know, as a fighter himself, how does yoga help your training, and what stretches do you recommend the most for a fellow fighter? I think we lost Chelsea there for a bit. But if you guys don't already know, I'm According to Woods. I'm Adam Woods, and I do podcasts, especially when my dog isn't wanting to run in. But if you haven't already done so, I warmly encourage you to subscribe to the According to Woods YouTube page, as well as the According to Woods Facebook business page, because you'll get podcasts such as these. And yeah, it's cool, I think. I'm just saying. And maybe you might find some cool things too. And Chelsea, can you hear me?
It's not working.
Woo. All right. So, okay, I guess this might be a bit of a show in tell, but all right. This is Pugsley Fucking Woods, and he's the newest member of the Woods clan. And for whatever reason, he's like, "Hey, Dad, I'm gonna mess up your live stream right now." And he's just a precocious little gent here. And try and connect with Chelsea here. And dun, dun, dun. I can hear her. I'm sure you guys as well can hear her, the background, but we've yet to see her. Let's see, I may. Hmm, let's see. Give her a little bit. We'll look for a sign of life, and if not, we'll probably end the
Can you
stream.
hear me?
Oh, there you are.
I can
We
hear
can't.
you.
We can't. Yeah, we can't see you.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not working. It just all of a sudden stopped working. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. How about this? Jump out of the. Yeah. Jump out of the chat and then jump back in. Sometimes that mitigates the problem.
Okay, I'll try that.
Cool. So, hey guys, this is According to Woods here, and Jesse says can't hear her. Chelsea's video's down. Absolutely, we're rectifying that now. But as a bit of show and tell, and I haven't really uh, shouted it out, but I mean here is Pugsley Fuggin, Fuggin Woods, and he's a precocious fellow, and as you guys can probably tell, he is a pug and a fawn-colored pug at that. And he was just like, "I'm gonna mess up your live stream." So there's that. Hey, there you go. Hey,
Oh,
Chels.
I'm
All
back.
right. So you were saying in terms of like the MMA, your gym being a part of your community, like I mean, how enriching was that? Especially you had been in a particular negative situation and then finding yourself. That had to be awesome, right?
Oh yeah, it was huge for me. I mean, it was a huge confidence booster, and just having that connection with other people and making friends that way, and having that community support all the time, and having people cheer for you and give you encouragement and stuff like that. It definitely changed my life and changed who I am as a person and helped me grow into more, I think, of who I'm supposed to be. So yeah, it's been huge for me.
That's awesome. And then at what point, because just to kind of reiterate Jesse's comment from earlier, um, how did you find yoga, in your kind of quest to become this optimal mixed martial artist? Because obviously, for those in the know, especially if you do jujitsu, but I mean, literally any type of sports endeavor, yoga is amazing. The amount of stretching and what you can do, with your body, you just know what you're capable of. So when did that kind of that path become enlightened for you?
I actually started doing yoga before I started mixed martial arts. I was working at the YMCA. I worked there for 10 years as a personal trainer and teaching classes. And I taught yoga there. So I learned from the instructor, the head instructor there. And then I started teaching and just incorporating that into my workouts and just part of my everyday physical activity. And I just got really into it. I loved the more advanced poses like the handstands and the headstands and the crazy stuff like that. And then, it definitely gave me an advantage going into martial arts, being flexible already and being able to learn those movements easier because my body was, I had that range of motion already prepared and ready to go. So it definitely complements my training for sure.
Now, is there a particular pose that you've kind of utilized that maybe have either steered you away from an injury or at least help you recover from a particular injury?
Oh, that's a tough one. It's hard to pick like one pose because there's so many good ones. But I would say child's pose has been a good one for me. Like it's actually kind of painful for me because of the range of motion in my knee after my ACL surgery. So getting that back has been a process, and that pose is it's very relaxing and it stretches your whole body, but at the same time, like you can just feel it really stretching your back and your shoulders and your hips and your quads and your glutes and everything. So it's relaxing at the same time. So, and it's been helpful for getting the range of motion back in my knee. But there's so many good poses. It's hard to pick just one.
No, that's I love that answer because again, yeah, it's multifaceted, right? Because obviously, in doing yoga motions, it's just like it's it's an overall wellness thing. So it's not like picking up a kettlebell or a barbell for your arms and you're like, oh, I'm doing my arms today. Like when you're in downward dog, like literally everything is becoming engaged and what have you, and you kind of figure it out. And I don't. Maybe it's because of the pug that I picked downward dog, but yeah, well.
That was my so.
Yeah,
You could have picked
100%.
you could have picked for dog too. So there's other dog poses.
Yes, yes, there are. Absolutely. Now, I mean, obviously, having that background in yoga and then, you know, basically going into, MMA to defend yourself, right? When does I mean, was there a conscious effort like, hey, I could potentially fight, or do your coaches kind of sit down with you and go like, hey, you should kind of do this. You should take a fight. Like, how did that process happen?
No, it was actually me coming to them and being like, I want to try this. Like, I want to do it, even if I only do it one time, just to say that I did. So get me ready for it. And that was it. They're just like, okay, let's do it. So they had confidence in me and my training, and they worked me hard for it. But I definitely, it was me that came out and said that I want to try this. So.
Now, and in terms of when you started in the gym, and then that kind of realization that I'm going to do this, like, I mean, how much time had elapsed?
I'd say it was probably about a year of training before I decided I wanted to take a fight. I had done some jujitsu tournaments previous to that, just some really like casual local ones, and yeah, I would say it was about a year, and then I decided I was ready to take my first amateur fight.
So, what was that experience like? Obviously, you had already had, combat sports, competition in your tool belt, so to speak, right? You had, done some jiu-jitsu competitions, but fighting, where punches and kicks, even if you've got knee pads and shin pads and all of that, it's a different world. So, what was that experience like taking that first fight?
It was kind of surreal. I honestly, I was probably the least amount of scared for all my fights. As the first one was the least scary because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Like it was totally new and unexpected, and I had so much adrenaline going. I don't even hardly remember it. It's like a blur when I try to think back about it. But uh, at the end of the fight, I had won by decision, and I didn't even realize that I had won. I was just like, the fight's over, like I did it. I was happy, and then my coaches were like, raise your hands, you won. I'm like, oh, okay, and I was like, I won. And I was just kind of hooked from that moment, and that made me want to continue going on and doing it more and more and more. So it was just an awesome experience being with the team and experiencing that together. So it was a whole new world that I got introduced to, and I really liked it. So.
No. Now you said that, that was kind of in terms of nerves, like that was kind of the easiest one to kind of go through. Now the nerves
Yeah.
ended up, coming, after that first fight, which is, I think it's
Yeah.
a bit of an anomaly. I mean, looking back in retrospect, like, why do you think that was?
I mean, I was definitely nervous for the first fight, but I think after that, it was worse because I knew I was gonna hurt afterwards. Like I knew there was gonna be pain no matter if I win or lose. It's still gonna hurt, you know, and I knew I was getting myself into at that point. And I felt like maybe I had more pressure on myself after that too. Like the first one was kind of like I just wanted to do it and see what happened. And then after that it was more like, okay, I want to do well at this, you know. So maybe more pressure behind it too made the nerves more substantial for the following fights.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense because again, and it's so too it in life, right? Where you don't know what you don't know, and in retrospect, after it, you're like, why did I put myself into that situation? Oh my, OMG, right? You're kind
Yeah.
of yeah, but youth can do that to you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A few years and an injury or two and some stitches, that'll give you a different sort of perspective about it.
No, 100%, and I think it's kind of crazy, and I don't know. I'm not. I don't know too many other sports to do it. Maybe, but I also don't have a knowledge of too many other sports other outside of combat sports. But it's a weird one, right? Because when you look at like youth, right? When you're looking at youth, you might have more adrenaline. Maybe weight cuts might be a little bit easier, or your diet. You can have an absolute crap diet and just like shed weight. Your metabolism is in order, all that stuff and whatever, but you don't have the knowledge to kind of apply, right? And then when you get, kind of a little bit tenured in the fight game, right? You have all the knowledge, but then you've got the injuries and, your body doesn't heal as much as it used to. So it's like, everybody's peak is different, but I just find it fascinating because like, you know, the youth want the experience and the experience want the youth, and it's like only when you get like the middle ground, there's something special happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to find that balance. It's like it's a catch 22 almost. So, yeah.
Catch 22. That's one of my favorite kind of euphemisms. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
my
for
goodness,
sure.
we can't talk about your career without talking about. I mean, this is a dream for a lot of anybody. Just if you're a commentator, if you're a fighter, if you're a coach, to coach in Japan, to fight in Japan, and you did
Yeah.
that with Rizin. My goodness, what was that experience like?
It was a once in a lifetime experience, and hopefully I'd love to go back again sometime, but it was very unique and fun. And Rizin's a great promotion. I mean, they treat their fighters well, and I have no complaints about them whatsoever. They were awesome. And the experience was great, obviously going to Japan and checking out Tokyo. And the fans there are they're very into the sport, even more so than here, and wait at your hotel room for you to come down so they can get your autograph and talk to you and take pictures with you. And that was something new for me that I'd never experienced before, so that was very cool. And yeah, it was just a very experience, like great experience overall. Even though the fight didn't go the way that I wanted it to, it was still Shinju's a great opponent, she's a great fighter, and we were able to like talk and hug afterwards and be friends. So overall I was very happy with the experience.
No, 100%. And I mean, my goodness, talk about like, in terms of the education. I mean, it's different from any, fighting or doing pro wrestling in Japan. A lot of people will say that have come over from other countries. When you're used to like people like cheering and this like, kind of like electric atmosphere, and the Japanese are kind of demure, and they're very introspective. They know what they're looking at, and you'll get a ooh when a submission happens or a knockout, and it's something completely different than the rest of like the combat sports landscape.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they were completely silent when the fight is happening. They're it's almost like golf. Like they're quiet when the fight happens, but then when it ends, the round ends, then they're cheering and they're all about it. So yeah, it's definitely a different experience, but in a good way. So
Yeah, I think it was Prince, right? The artist formerly known as, or he was saying how at one of his concerts, I want to say it might have been either the Tokyo, just somewhere in Japan, right? It could have even been Budokan, but he had a concert and he thought it would be cool to have like Prince kind of emblazoned tambourines, for like the
mhm.
first 500 people in the first row, or I mean in the floor seating, right? So he finishes his concert, right? He finishes his concert, and what ends up happening is one of the roadies and stagehands are like, "Yo, Prince, come here!" Right? When he went back out to the stage, all 500 tambourines were still there because he hadn't said, "Hey, these are for you," And that's just again a cultural difference. So all of them were still there, and then they did the same thing, but the next night they made sure that they told the people like, no, 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 you can, these are yours. Go ahead.
Funny. That's funny. Yeah, it's definitely different there. They're definitely more like respectful of each other and of their surroundings. Like, when you're on the stairs or you're on the escalator or something, if there's people that want to go faster, they all stand to the slower people stand to one side, the faster people stand to the other side. Like that's just one example of how they're more respectful, I think, as a society and a culture to each other. So it was definitely cool to see that and experience everything in Tokyo.
I love it. I love it. What one big thing about you and what you purport on your social medias and everything is the empowerment, right? You are hugely powerful, hugely positive, and it's crazy because from what led you into combat sports, and you're kind of wanting to be aware, in your aspiration for being a yogi, right? What have you learned about yourself through these kind of exploits that you've done?
I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned, that I think I've become more assertive as a person. I used to be a people pleaser and kind of passive, and I'm definitely not that person anymore. And the mixed martial arts has definitely given me, like I said, it's given me that confidence in myself in many areas, not just fighting, but in all areas of my life, business, relationships, just anything really. As a mother, all of that stuff. And it's helped me realize, I think, my purpose in life too. And I've always been a personal trainer. I've done that for pretty much my whole career. And but now this has given me kind of a different way to help people in sort of a similar aspect, and to help them not only physically but mentally too, because I feel like I've been through a lot, and I feel like other people have experienced a lot of the same things that I've been through, and it's my kind of duty and passion to share my knowledge with those people to help them in any way that I can. And it would be a disservice to everyone, to even me, to just keep that to myself. And so I think that's the biggest part of all of it, is that it's just made me realize kind of what is my purpose in life and what makes me feel satisfied and what keeps me driven and motivated in everything that I do. So
I love it. I love it. And especially at a time like this where, people are trying to figure out what the next step is. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world. And it's cool that, people such as yourself exist, that have kind of been through the fire and made it out the other side, stronger for it.
yeah, definitely. I think anybody that's come out of something hard and they have something to share that they've learned from it, that they should do so, because everybody struggles, everybody goes through hard things in life, and the more encouragement and positivity that you can get, and just knowing that you're not alone in those experiences, that makes a big difference.
I think so too. I think so too. And that's again, we were kind of talking off air. That's one of the fun things about doing this podcast, especially during this time, is to kind of check in to see how people are, and because and through that we're kind of figuring out like how to progress. So you could, right where you are, your town, your municipality, or what have you, it may be kind of dark and murky and what have you, but then there's some light over here and maybe light over here, and 30 miles away there's something going on here and whatever. And it's through that, I think that's kind of what I've taken away from, like, I mean, everything since March. It's like, you know it's through each other, regardless of differences and what have you, right? It's through each other how we're going to figure things out. There's going to be some difficult things that need to be addressed, but again, we should have the courtesy towards each other to express those. And even if we don't agree, hear them out, see where that other person is coming from, or that group of people or what have you are coming from, and then kind of engage. But again, out of love, care, and compassion, rather than like anger and animosity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big problem today, especially, we're getting close to the elections, and that's always like a very negative, hateful time. And I feel like this year is the worst ever. And there's a lot of animosity, there's a lot of misunderstanding between people, and I think people have just lost the ability to disagree with each other respectfully. And, I see a lot of like, oh, just unfriend me if you don't agree, or you're not going to change my mind, or it's just very close minded and very just I want to be right, not I want to care for each other and actually make change. And it's very frustrating for me to see that, and I have to make sure I don't get too involved in it, because it can be very heavy on my mental health. So I have to stay informed, but from a distance, because it's a lot right now, and I wish it would change. And I try to do my part to be a positive change in the world, and hopefully be an example for others.
No, and again, I thank you for it, because you just need more of that. You like it, you love it, you want some more of it. As that song says, right? Now,
Yeah.
in terms of what you want to accomplish, before, whether it be professionally, in fighting, your yoga practice, your personal training, in endeavors, are there things that, before it's all said and done, that you would like to accomplish?
um I'm not much of a I don't like to plan things too specifically, because I've realized that they never go that way anyway. So I like to be more of a go with the flow person. Like, I know the general direction of things that I want them to go, and my main focuses right now in my life are being a mom and running my business and fighting. So those are kind of my top priorities. And as far as MMA goes, I don't have any specific goal, to be honest with you. I just like to fight. I just like to train, and whatever happens with it is what's going to happen, and I'm okay with that. So, if I go to the UFC or fight for Rizin again, that would be totally awesome, and I would love that. But, if it doesn't happen, I'm okay with that too. So, I have a very thriving business that I run, and I have a great family. So there's a lot of other aspects in my life that I focus on, not just MMA. So
I love it. I love it. And again, you are a warm and engaging personality, and I mean, you that had to come from somewhere, right? So, in terms of people who have helped and encouraged you, let's get some acknowledgments and shout outs out of the way. Coaches, professional. I mean, this is your time to shine, my dear. So, the floor is yours.
yeah, well, I can't say enough thank yous for all of my coaches. I've had so many coaches over the years, and they've all been influential in different ways. And I'm so thankful for all of them, and all of my teammates who beat me up and let me beat them up. And, honestly, that's where, most of my friends and my community is. So I'm thankful for all of them. And, my parents obviously have been a huge role in my life, raising me, and They don't love that I fight, but they have learned to accept it, and have they help me watch my daughter when I have fights and training and stuff like that. So they're supportive in their own way. And my boyfriend, he's a huge help to me, supporting me and helping me get ready for fights and making sure that I have what I need. And so all those people have been a huge influence to getting me to this point. And yeah, I would say, like, all of those people have played a part in getting me to where I am.
I love it. I love it. It takes a village sometimes. Now, for those who want to be better acquainted with the village and a positive energy that is Chelsea LaGrasse, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the best place to find me. My handle is Chelsea Cayenne. It's like Kynn. So it's not spelled like cayenne pepper, but that's how you say it. So you can find me on Instagram. That's pretty much my handle for everything. TikTok, I don't do Twitter, so I'm not on there. And if you want to add me on Facebook, you can add me on Facebook too, and send me a message and say hi. So I will always respond to all messages and comments. So feel free to say hey if you want to.
I love it. I love it. And, thank you for injecting quite a bit of positivity here. And again, like I said, regardless of where you are in life, logistically, and what have you, there could be, if we have just a little bit of positivity, more so than what we had the moment before, I think we'll do okay.
Yeah, 1% better. That's what I always say, right? Even if you're 1% better, that's good.
That's it, the incremental steps. But I mean,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us here at According to Woods, and thank you guys for joining us. But for Chelsea LaGrasse, I'm According to Woods, and we are out.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe to According to Woods YouTube.